Everyone, this is the Radical Tutor here explaining, and in this video we are going to look at how to write and how to answer questions in research. Alright, so in this case our main interest is the research proposal. So what is this research proposal? So research proposal is just like a plan for your research project which is ahead of you. So that plan that you make for your research project is what we call as the research proposal. So basically it just outlines, what you want to study, why it's worthy studying, how you do it, and also the expected outcomes that you are likely to get after studying this research proposal. All right, or after studying a certain problem. So you are looking at also the expected outcomes. All right, now having defined what a research proposal is, so maybe if I can just put for you the definition here. So I'm just saying that the research proposal, a proposal research proposal is a plan is a plan for your research. So it is a plan for your research. For your research. Like that. So it is just a plan for the research. Which research? The research project which is coming ahead. So basically it will outline what you want to study, which is actually the topic, and why it is worthy studying, which is the importance of you studying this research, of course, and also how you do it, that describes the methodologies that you actually use in order for you to conduct your research. All right. Also the expected outcomes. So the expected outcomes, these are referring to, your solutions that you are going to bring on the table, so that the problem that you are likely to study or that you are proposing to study is well solved. All right, so that is how you can define a research proposal. Now, having defined a research proposal, or having laid this preamble, what we are going to do then is to go into details and see what the research proposal contains. All right, so a research proposal consists of 3 chapters. So a research proposal contains 3 chapters, and these chapters are chapter 1, chapter 2, and chapter 3. Before I go any further, allow me to state to you that a research proposal contains tenses which are actually the future tenses. So it consists of the future tenses only. Why? Because you are proposing what you are likely to do, or what you are likely to study, or you are proposing a certain problem that you are likely to address, or that you are likely to solve its challenges or problems rather. So that is all about a research proposal. So it contains 3 chapters, and all these chapters are written in future tenses. All right. So we're saying that chapters of a research proposal. So we have chapters of a research proposal. A research proposal. So the chapters of a research proposal, we're saying that we have number 1, which is chapter 1. So in chapter 1, we call this chapter as an introduction. So this chapter is called an introduction. Then we go to chapter 2. So this is chapter 1. Then we go to chapter 2. Chapter 2, which is called the literature review. So this is called literature. So we're saying that it is called literature review. So it is literature review. All right, then we also have chapter 3. So we have our chapter 3, which is called research methodology. So this one is called research methodology. All right. Now, these are the 3 chapters that are found in a research proposal. So what we are going to do is that we are going to explain all the captions that are found in each chapter, so that you can get to understand what really transpires if we say that you are writing a research proposal. So we go to chapter 1. So chapter 1 is called an introduction. So what happens is that when you go to chapter 1, so we have our chapter 1. So allow me to write it here. So we have our chapter 1. Chapter 1. So what are some of the captions that are found in chapter 1? So the captions that are found in chapter 1 are: number 1, remember, whenever you are writing a research proposal, you should always have an introduction or an overview of each chapter. So chapter 1 has got an introduction or an overview. So remember, we're saying that chapter 1 is called an introduction. It is called introduction. But even when it is called introduction, it should also have its own introduction to actually just introduce what is inside the proposal that you are writing or the chapter that you are writing. So in this case, we are going to say that it has 1.0, which is called an overview. An overview, which is also called an introduction. So in this part, or in this caption, this is where you introduce yourself, you introduce the chapter to say this chapter is all about this and that. So for instance, or other people would write the captions that are actually inside in chapter 1, like maybe those captions that are found in chapter 1, so they would put them in under this same caption, which is an overview. So an overview is just there to introduce to you the chapter and say this is what you're likely to find in chapter 1. All right, so that is your overview. So it's just like an introduction to the chapter. Then we go to 1.2. 1.2 is called the background of the study. So 1.2 is called the background of the study. Background of the study. Now, what is this background of a study? So background of a study, this is where a researcher acknowledges in brief other scholars or other authors that have written on the same topic that they are writing. So this is where you as a researcher, you are avoiding writing the research incognito without acknowledging anyone. So this is where you now bring in issues that other researchers have written based on what you are also writing. So that is what we call as the background of the study. Now, as you are writing your background of the study, you should acknowledge authors, starting with those that have written on the same topic at global level. So you recognize them from global level. Then after global level, you come to continental level, continental level, continental level. Apart from continental level, you come to country level. You come to country level, and then country level, you narrow it down to the area of the study. Area of the study. So in this order. So in other words, what we are saying is that whenever you are writing the background of the study, start by acknowledging authors, starting from global level, you come to continental level, then country level, and then narrow it down to the area of the study. So you say, for instance, if you are studying on why there is a lot of fluency, or maybe let me change the topic. Maybe we can say why learners mostly fail religious education in secondary schools. So if that is your topic, then you should start by acknowledging authors that have written on the same topic at global level. So you start by acknowledging authors at global level. So for instance, we can say, according to Boniface, in Ghana 2026 or 2025 stated that, or 2020 stated that learners fail RE at grade 12 level because of so. Again, maybe, so what you do is that you can write you can acknowledge author at global level, maybe in 2 paragraphs or so, because we are saying that the background of the study is just a brief acknowledgement. So you write the global level in 2 paragraphs, continental level in 2 paragraphs, the country level also in 2 paragraphs, area of the study also in 2 paragraphs. So you start by mentioning scholars who have done the same topic at global level, you come to continental level, you come to country level, and then narrow it down to the area of the study. So basically, this is what you do when writing the background of the study. So we don't write the background of the study incognito. To write it incognito, meaning that you are just bringing your own knowledge without giving respect to people that have written on the same topic before you. So it is very, very important that you acknowledge these people as you are writing your research. All right. Apart from the background of the study, we have this is 1.1, I mean. So this is 1.1. We go to 1.2, which is called the statement of the problem. So we have what we call the statement of the problem. The statement of the problem. Now, what is this statement of the problem? So statement of the problem is simply just statement of the problem is simply just the problem that the researcher aspires to tackle. So that problem that you as a researcher aspires to tackle is what we call as the statement of the problem. So for instance, if you've already stated in the background of the study that there are already authors that have written on the same topic that you are writing, then what is the instance of you writing on the same topic again? Because there are already other authors that have already written about the same topic. So that's why the statement of the research problem is very, very significant in research writing, because it shows the problem or the gap that is supposed to be bridged up, or that is supposed to be filled up, right, by you now as a researcher. So statement of the problem is there to say, even when my other scholars, even when my fellow scholars have talked about this, but there is still a gap that I feel as a researcher I can still address. All right. For instance, you can say these other researchers have done the research, or this same topic, have written on the same topic, maybe in towns, okay, excluding or neglecting rural areas. So this is the reason why I'm writing maybe on this topic, so that I can also cover up the rural aspect. So meaning that that is your statement of the problem. So statement of the problem is that problem that you as a researcher aspires to tackle. That is called the statement of the research problem. All right, so it is actually that gap that you'd want to work on, that gap that you've seen that it is still, lacking, or that is still remaining behind. That is what we call as the statement of the research problem that you are aspiring to tackle as a researcher. All right, so we proceed. We go to 1.3. 1.3 is called the purpose of the study. So what is the purpose of the study? Now, the purpose of the study here in this case is just the main aim of you conducting the research. So the main aim of you conducting the research is called the purpose of the study. So why are you conducting this research? What is that, biggest aim of yours that has prompted you to write this research? And now, when writing the purpose of the study, we are saying that it's the main aim of you conducting the research. So if they ask you to define the purpose of the study, you say it is the main aim of you conducting the research. Now, if it is the main aim of conducting the research, how do you write the purpose of the study? To write the purpose of the study, what you simply need to do is to say the purpose of this study will be, then you bring your research topic. So for instance, if my research topic is about the truancy, why there is a lot of truancy in schools, why there is a lot of absenteeism in schools, or a lot of learners missing classes in schools, that is truancy. So why is there such things still happening in schools? So now, when writing the purpose of the study, you just say the purpose of this study will be, then you write the topic that you are writing on. So for instance, you say the purpose of this study will be to determine why learners or to determine the factors that are leading to poor performance in mathematics. So that is your topic, which is looking at poor performance in mathematics. So you say the purpose of this study will be to determine why learners fail mathematics at grade 12 level. All right, in which district? You mentioned the district, to say maybe in Lusaka district, or maybe in Chongwe district, and so on and so forth. So that is how you write the purpose of the study. So it is just the main aim of you conducting that research. All right, apart from the purpose of the study, we go to the objectives. So we have 1.4, which we call as the objectives of the study. So we go to the objectives of the study. Now, what are these objectives of the study? So objectives of the study are simply those things that you would want to achieve, okay? Things that you are targeting to achieve at the end of the day after you write your research proposal. So what are some of the things that you would put in place that you would want to achieve at the end of the day? So that is what we call as the research objectives. Now, the research objectives, mostly we say that they are supposed to be smart. They're supposed to be smart. What's the meaning of smart? Smart means the objectives must be specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound. So they are supposed to be specific. You should always go to the point. Okay, measurable. You should be able to measure them in such a manner that people can easily understand once they look at your objectives. Attainable, you can easily get them. You shouldn't pick objectives that you cannot be able to achieve. No, you should be able to read their literature and understand them better. Relevant, they're supposed to be important. Don't just pick something which is not important. No. Then time bound, they're supposed to be bounded by time. So you cannot pick something that you know that it can take you maybe 3 years to finish. Just pick something which is within your means so that you can easily finish it. So that is what we call as the objectives. So objectives of the study are actually the specific goals. Okay, I've said they are specific goals, or they are actually, those things that you would want to achieve, that target that you would want to achieve. Okay, that thing that you want to achieve at the end of the day. What do you want to find out? What do you want to prove? What do you want to explore? So the target that you are looking at, that is what we are calling as the objectives of the study. And we are saying that they should always be what? They should be always smart, like that. So that is what we call as the objectives of the study. Apart from the objectives of the study, we have what we call as 1.5, which we call as the research questions. So we have the research questions. Now, what are these research questions? Research questions are simply just the objectives in question form. So if you are to write these objectives in question form, then these objectives becomes research questions. For instance, if I say, if we are looking at the topic which is why learners fail mathematics at grade 12, and one of your objectives is to determine if the teachers have qualifications for teaching these upper classes. Okay, that is your objective. So now if you go to the research question, it means that you are just rewriting that objective that you've created here in a question format. So you can put it as, do teachers have proper qualification to teach grade 12s? Then question mark. So you are rewriting the objectives that you formulated here in a question format, and at the end you put a what? A question mark. So each objective, if you have 3 objectives, meaning that you should also have 3 what? Research questions. If you have 4 objectives, meaning that you should also have 4 research questions. And we are saying that research questions corresponds to the objectives that you are given there, or that you formulated here. And you're writing them in what? In research, in question form. All right, so that is how you write the research questions. Then you go to 1.6, which we call as, so 1.6 in the research is called the significance of the study. So we have what we call as the significance of the study. Now, what is the significance of the study? So we are saying that we have the significance of the study. So what is the significance of the study? So significance of the study is simply just the importance or the precedence of you writing a certain research or this proposal. So what is it that people are going to benefit from this research that you are writing? What is it that you'd want to help or to contribute to the society? What is it that you'd want to contribute to the district and the country at large? That is the significance of the study. So for instance, one of the significance that we normally put in research is that what you are writing will contribute to the already existing board of knowledge. So that is what we call as the significance of the study. What you are writing will actually contribute to the existing body of knowledge, to the already existing body of knowledge. That is what we call the significance of the study. Other significance of the study that you can put in research are that you can actually, so significance goes with the topic that you are writing. All right. So for instance, if you're writing a topic which is looking at why learners fail mathematics at grade 12, you can say that one of the significance of the study that you can write is to help the curriculum developers to make sure that they adjust, the methodologies on how grade 12 learners should be taught. So that is how you that's what we mean by saying the significance of the study. All right. Apart from the significance of the study, we have what we call as 1.7, which we call as, the delimitation of the study. So we have the delimitation of the study. Now, what is this delimitation of the study? The delimitation of the study is simply just the place where you are conducting the research from. So the place where you are conducting the research from is called the delimitation of the study. So for instance, if you are conducting your research in Chongwe district, you say that the research is delimited to, or the research will be delimited to Chongwe district of Lusaka province, Zambia. So that is the delimitation of the study. So the delimitation of the study in research is simply just the place where you are conducting the research from. That is called the delimitation of the study. On the other end, we have what we call as limitations of the study. So we have what we call as the limitations of the study. Now, what are these limitations of the study? So there's a difference between the limitation and the limitations. When we say the limitation, we are looking at the place where you're conducting the research from. And then the limitations, we are looking at challenges that you are likely to face as you be conducting your study. So those challenges that you are likely to face as you be conducting your study is called, or they are called, limitations of the study. For instance, some of the limitations that a researcher can face, or that the researcher can, may face as they conduct their study are: one is that lack of finances. Sometimes you'd find that you want to conduct your research maybe scientifically, but you'd find that the research is, demanding you to use maybe a 15,000 kwacha, a 20,000 kwacha. So you'd find that you are not going to finish your research as you planned it because of the funds that are just too high. Other limitations are environmental conditions, such as, you can say, maybe you want to conduct your research and this time it's rain season, so you'd find that you're conducting your research and you want to do it in Lusaka, but you'd find that it's raining and the rains are really disturbing you to make sure that you go to Lusaka and collect your data. So those are some of the limitations that can hinder the development of your research. All right. So that's the difference between the limitation and the limitations of the study. The limitation is the place, while limitations are challenges that you're likely to face as you'll be conducting your research. All right. Having said that, we can now move on, or make a transition to what we call as theoretical framework. So we go to 1.9 that we call as theoretical framework. Theoretical framework. Okay, so theoretical frameworks. Now, what is the theoretical framework? So when we say theoretical framework, let me define for you what a theoretical framework is. So a theoretical framework is simply, this is just a phenomenon that explains on a certain concept fully so that it is well understood. So it is a phenomenon that actually explains on a certain concept fully so that it is well understood. So for instance, theories are developed by people, all right, or by scholars. So they tend to explain on certain concepts fully so that those concepts can be understood. Okay, so for instance, we can bring a theory which was discovered by any scholar, and then it will explain on what that particular topic is. If you're looking at HIV and AIDS, there are theories that are explaining on that topic fully so that that topic is well understood. All right, so that is what we call as a theoretical framework. So it is a theory which is explaining on a certain concept fully so that it is well understood. So for instance, if you're writing a research, you know that a research, let's say for instance, you're writing a research and why research, or why business philosophy, or why market philosophy is important in business. Okay, so why market philosophy or market research is important in business? So there are theories that people have written on market philosophy, and therefore you need to bring those theories in your report so that they can well explain what you are also writing. So that is what we call theoretical framework. All right. Then apart from that, we go to 1.9, 1.10. So 1.10. Now what is this 1.10 of a research proposal of chapter 1? So 1.10 is called definition of operational terms. So definition of operational terms. Operational terms. Now, when we say definition of operational terms in the research proposal, we are simply talking about, the key terms that are in your research or your proposal that people may find difficulties in understanding. So you need to define those key terms in the research. All right. So, for instance, if you are looking at a research which is about truancy among learners, so you should start defining the key terms that are in that topic. For instance, what are learners? You define what learners are. What is truancy? So you need to define what truancy is. Okay, so you define those terms that you feel that people cannot understand if they are to come across your research. Those are the ones that we call as definitions of operational terms. Then from there, what you need to do then is to go to what we call as 1.11. 1.11 is about 1.11 is about ethical considerations. So ethical considerations. What are these ethical considerations? So ethical considerations in research are simply just those good things that you are supposed to do as a researcher as you be conducting your research. Good things that the researcher does as they conduct their research are what we call as ethical considerations. So there are rules that you should always abide to as you conduct your research as a researcher, and those rules are what we call as the ethical consideration. And actually, not just rules, but good rules or good things that you're supposed to follow as you conduct your research. These are what we call as ethical considerations. Now, some of the good things that you're supposed to follow as you conduct a research as a researcher are: number one, you should always make sure that you are honest. You are honest. All right, you're honest. Don't lie. Don't just get things from maybe an AI website or maybe ChatGPT or maybe what, then you just come and paste. No, or don't give someone else to write your report on your behalf. Okay, because meaning that you are not ethically upright when writing your research. Also, other things are that when you go out there to collect data from the respondents, make sure that you maintain that confidentiality. You should always write your research in a confidential manner, such that if a certain respondent give you a certain information, you should not, or you shouldn't not disclose that information to anyone else apart from that secret remain between you and that respondent. So that is what we call as confidentiality. So we should always maintain that level of confidentiality as we are conducting your research. Make sure that you always ask permission as you conduct your research. All right. If you go maybe at a student school to collect data, you can't just go direct to learners and collect data, but first obtain permission from the head teacher or the relevant authority from that particular school. So those are what we call as ethical considerations. The good things that you are likely to do as you conduct your research, they are called ethical considerations. Lastly, but not the least, we have what we call as 1.12. 1.12 in the research is called the research summary. So the research summary. So this research summary, this is where you just conclude the chapter, which is chapter 1 in this case, and say in this chapter, I've written on this particular captions. So you just state what you've written in this caption, in this chapter. For instance, you say in this chapter, or chapter 1 has talked about the overview, the background of the study, the statement of the problem, the purpose of the study, objectives of the study, research questions, significance of the study, the limitations of the study, theoretical frameworks, the limitations of the study, ethical considerations, and so on and so forth. All right, so that is how you basically write the research summary. So this that we've discussed here is the chapter 1 of any research proposal. So in our next video, we shall look at how to write chapter 2 of a research proposal. Please don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel for more tutorials. Subscribe there and click on the notification bell so that whenever I post my videos, you can be notified that I've posted a video and you'll be able to follow in the comfort of your place. All right. Thank you so much. See you next time.